Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Cybrary's podcast. Today, we are talking about security-conscious company culture. And today, we have Ken Gilmour, the CEO of Knogin, and Cybrary's own CEO, Ryan Corey, in the building today. So thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Thor.
And take it away.
Great. Ken, really glad to have you. You're visiting us from where?
Costa Rica. So, warm and sunny there, and had to come over with my snow coat. Yeah. So, it's quite cold here.
Yeah, sorry for the 40 degrees out here.
Just kind of warm myself up every now and then.
Yeah. Now, your accent is not Costa Rican.
That's right. Yes, I am Irish, but don't hold that against me.
No, we could listen to you talk all day. We're loving it.
Thanks. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's good. It's cold there too. So Costa Rica is the warm place of choice.
It's a smart
place
choice.
To be. Yeah, I'm going to be coming and visiting you soon.
Fantastic. Awesome.
So we here at Cybrary, we have a concept called security enablement, which is how our product is being deployed in a lot of enterprise organizations. And really excited to get you in here today because I know that you and I have had conversations and you have a lot of thoughts on what it's like to actually build a security conscious culture at an organization. So would love to dive into that with you and just kind of pick your brain on it if at all possible.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I think one of the biggest problems with, in general, cybersecurity programs and awareness programs is that, you tend to forget people. Like, your janitor deals with confidential documents on your desk. Have you trained your janitor? So it definitely needs to be an all-encompassing thing for the entire company. And it really helps to include everybody because in general, cybersecurity itself is inclusive. You could be compromised by a man or a woman of any gender or race or any country.
Right.
And having a diverse team and training everybody within your team gives you different aspects of understanding of how to defend your organization as well.
Yep. So it's a concept that I think the world of security has been saying and preaching for years, like security belongs to everyone. But I don't honestly believe that organizations have taken that truly serious, right? So you gave the example of the janitor who deals with, probably fairly sensitive documentation that they have to transfer into the trash or whatever. But what does kind of security belongs to everyone mean sort of to you?
Yeah, so I mean, again, security awareness is then given as a very broad exercise, so you'd get examples of, don't go onto Wi-Fi and things like that. And it's kind of very generic. But then again, having specific types of courses for people within the organization based on their role is a very important thing too, because, developers think, well, I know I shouldn't use the Wi-Fi in the airport.
Yeah.
Other people may not think the same way, but a developer may not know things about how to code securely, because they code to make things work, and that's their job. That's their entire training. I remember asking in a conference one time if any of the audience had any training, any security training whatsoever. No one put their hand up, and I asked, has anyone got a bachelor's degree in IT? And literally everybody put their hand up. Yep. It's like, okay, so what's going on here?
Yeah.
So it is important to train people in that way.
That's just proof that we haven't taken it seriously. Like security belongs to everybody. It does, right? It needs to be baked into the entire life cycle of the technological products and services and applications that we're delivering, right? And it's just literally not. It hasn't been to date. Now, we're finding the trend that some organizations are starting to think that way now, right? I know I'd be very proud of some very prominent financial institutions that are using Cybrary to put security skill sets into the hands of everybody in the technological org. And I think that's what you were talking about, when earlier you talked about how security awareness isn't enough. Right, you need people like the developers to have to understanding of how to code securely. The DevOps professionals need to really understand what DevSecOps kind of looks like, and sysadmins need to know security, network administrators, right, all that kind of stuff. So that's an important thing, and I think that we're seeing that trend. So it's just so surprising that it's taken so long for people in these major organizations to get there.
Yeah, exactly. And even, not just major organizations, I guess, a lot of people try to follow what the major organizations do and do it that way, but that's, not always the best way. And I think every business, regardless of your industry, really does things differently.
Yep.
You could have pharmaceutical companies that you would actually call tech companies because they're just so automated, and then other ones that are very manual. And the types of training that you need to give needs to be, broad enough for all of the people within your specific organization, and not just, your industry or what everybody else does.
Yep. The organization NIST, they do a good job with their NICE framework, where they they'll take a job role in a technical job role at an organization, and they'll define out what the skills are, not only to perform the core tasks of that job role, but also the security skill sets that go with that job role. And so that's kind of how our product is aligned, right? You just assign a work role to somebody, and like, these are the skills, and then also the security concepts that they need to know.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But you mentioned about not passing up on a good crisis or brushing it under the rug. Tell us your thoughts on that, because I found that pretty intriguing.
So I think a lot of, well, at least in small companies, a lot of entrepreneurs, they try to hide their mistakes, right? They feel embarrassed. And
I've never done that, Ken.
Yeah, I can't believe we got hacked, and it's hard to take ownership of it, whereas in a very large enterprise, hundreds of your employees have publicly seen you make this mistake.
Yeah.
So you can't really hide it because one of them is going to speak out. So you have to deal with it.
Right.
But in smaller organizations, people tend to hide it. But I think that's kind of tragic. In the sense of you're hiding this big learning opportunity, right? So you made a mistake. Only I am infallible. Everybody knows that, right? But everybody else is not. So we expect everybody to make mistakes. And the key thing in it, if an organization is hacked, I think it's probably inevitable that it will happen sometime in some way, maybe minor, maybe major. Really, the best companies that survive after that are the ones who have properly managed the crisis, not the ones who have brushed it under the rug.
Right. That makes sense. So then, in kind of a next step in building a security conscious culture, you've talked about accountability and what that needs to look like. And accountability, as we all know, like in business, is critical, right? If you're trying to drive outcomes, you can't be, as a CEO or whatever, you can't be the one doing everybody's job for them, right? So you have to delegate out. You make it very clear what the objective is. You give the person all the tools and resources and so on in order to do that job well in the way that you're asking of them, and you hold them accountable to the results. What does it tend to look like when it comes to creating a security conscious culture in terms of accountability?
So accountability needs knowledge and awareness, right? So I've had, I think there was one instance at least where I've gone to an organization and asked the question, so who's accountable for your data? If you get breached, who's accountable?
Yep.
Not responsible, who's accountable? And they say the DBAs. And I'm thinking, well, hold on a second. Okay, it makes sense. The data is in a database, but do they know the sensitivity of it?
Yeah.
And do they know that certain fields need to be encrypted, like credit card numbers, things like that? And if not, why did they get fired for this? So who's the actual data owner? Who is the person who knows what that data is? That's the person who needs to be accountable, because they have the awareness and they have the training, within that context. So it doesn't make sense to make someone accountable for something if they haven't had the correct training for that accountability.
I get that loud and clear. So again, it's you as a manager or as a leader, right? You need to give people the tools and the skill sets that they need in order to do their job properly. And without kind of that awareness, that training, and that knowledge, right? That the DBAs in that case, if they don't understand what security looks like in their work role, then you can't hold them accountable. And ultimately, it's then your fault.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just security, it's value of the data, how important is it to the organization? What would happen if it was lost?
Yep.
Should we back it up? If not, is it because of budget? Is it because of value? What's the reason for it? And their entire architecture should be done based on the understanding and the awareness within the organization, which requires training and awareness.
Yep. So we mentioned DBAs there. How does this tend to look in sort of like the software development lifecycle? How does that play a role in building a culture?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of software development life cycles, even when you're going through QA and things like that, it's for unit testing in the sense of I want to test if this is working correctly. So you get a list of these are the things that the unit should do, and it should work in this way. And then maybe QA will, do a little bit of extra work and see if they click it in the wrong way, will it crash or will something else happen? But generally, they don't do things like unintended uses from a cybersecurity perspective, and they need to be trained into as to what to look for, and how to look for it, and what's important in that security context.
Gotcha. Very cool. You've mentioned as well, then, as another step in creating this type of culture, security conscious culture, rewarding people. What are your thoughts around that? Because that's really interesting.
Yeah. So there's a lot of cool bug bounties and things, which are really, really sweet, right? So
BugCrowd, HackerOne, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Or even direct companies, like if you find a bug with Google, they could pay you, I don't know, like $1 million or something. Or maybe it's Apple. I don't even know. So imagine if Google, right? They have this option, right? Two options. They can give a external person $1 million to find a really good bug, or they can give an internal employee $5,000 for finding the same bug. Which one makes more sense to the organization, right? So when you're doing cybersecurity training and people find problems within your network, what's the incentive for them to find that problem? You think, well, $100, I don't have part with my $100. That could be used well in my business. But if they didn't find that could have cost you thousands of dollars.
Way more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, rewarding them with these, small rewards is significant for them and really good, but it also protects your future as well. And it is an investment in your own security and your future as well. It should be considered as part of your budget.
Got it. And so that rewarding people in the organization for finding the holes, finding the vulnerabilities, it kind of adds a little bit of a layer of a gamification to it, which you kind of referenced as another step in creating a security conscious culture, making it fun. What does that look like? What is fun security? So what's that going to look like?
Yeah. So I think, really the thing is you need a good community, right? You need your team to be able to trust each other and do fun things. So, one of the things we do at Knogin, which I really love actually, is if someone forgets to lock their computer, the standard is you open Slack and you send a message saying, "I love you all" to everybody in the company.
I like
and
that.
everybody
we
responds.
We have our own flavor, I'll tell after this.
Yeah. But that's it. I know it makes it fun. Everyone just goes, forgot to lock his or her computer. And, we just all laugh about it. And then that person remembers next time, well, you know what? I should lock my computer because I don't want to be publicly embarrassed anymore, even though it's just kind of not really that bad.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, pretty similar. I'm always known to change people's backgrounds. Jeremy can attest to himself. I've done it. Jeremy, our person in the booth, I've changed his background a couple times when it's just like, if it's unlocked and you're not here, that is a security thing you need to think about. And it's just a fun way to kind of remind people without, doing too much damage.
So the background takes a few steps, right? It's a little.
You can do it quickly.
You can do it quickly. I guess you can get there quick. The way it started here at Cybrary was, we call it the garden, where if you leave your computer unlocked, you walk back and you open it up to a garden or a sea of Google image search results that are going to embarrass you. So like narwhals, unicorns, My Little Pony, right? Panda bears, you name
ransomware
it.
screensaver.
Ransomware.
That's good.
With those kinds of things, if you have a little extra time, then you can really embarrass somebody pretty hard. But that's great. Is that kind of the main thought process there, and making security fun, like just adding little games to things and.
Yeah, just kind of, I guess, making it so that everybody kind of has to participate. Well, you don't really have to participate. And especially if you forgot to unlock your computer, your participation wasn't really there. Somebody else did it for you, right?
Yep. So you're involved.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's it. Just find a way to get everybody to think about things as they're doing it, without causing problems. That thing that we do, it's great for us, but in some industries that may be frowned upon, because someone could actually have sensitive information on the computer, and some third party has gotten into it, and then that employee gets into big trouble because they have secret stuff. So it depends on the industry, but that's what works for us.
Yep, got it. And then finally, in building a security conscious culture, you talk about promoting personal privacy. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so I think, one of the things, if you want to get people involved, make it personal, right? So one of the things I used to hate in my career was receiving and giving security awareness talks, because you get 100 people in a room, you just talk there for an hour about random things, and it was mandatory, and you checked the box at the end of the year for your PCI certification,
right?
And that was it. And nobody liked sitting through them; they were just so boring. Plus my monotone voice, nobody listens anyway.
I think it's pretty pleasant, quite frankly. Yeah.
So I mean, the really, when you want to give proper engagement to people, making it personal to them. So doing, how to protect your children online. It's a thing that, if I wasn't a technical person, I would like to learn, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to go to a course like that and ensure, my kids are not going to these crazy YouTube videos and doing stuff while I'm not watching, because, as a parent, it's hard enough monitoring your kids, but then, having to go through all of their history and, see what's being done and then talk to them about it. It's just, it's very difficult, right? Because you just don't have time. You have other things that you have to do.
Yep.
So, just kind of bringing people into that and understanding from a personal level how to protect yourself, what are the risks, also gives them the mindset of, what the world is like for business and other things. So, while you're promoting security within your business, you're actually giving someone the value of securing themselves as well.
Yep, that makes sense. So those are a lot of great points on creating a security conscious culture. So I appreciate you doing that. Why don't you tell us real quick, what are you guys up to at Knogin?
Oh yeah, sure, cool. So we do a behavioral analytics application, and so the idea is that we can find the context of you and who you are and what you do, and then anything that deviates from that. So if someone has compromised your account and they start doing things that you wouldn't ordinarily do, you receive an alert for it. So
excellent.
That's
and the company has been around for how long?
2 years now, almost.
Wow, that went quick, man. I remember when it feels like it was like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
You guys created a course on Cybrary, so people can take a Knogin course on Cybrary, right?
That's right.
And then is the product available as a download, a free version of it or something like that?
Yeah, so you can log in.
Where can people get that?
Yeah, so just go to knogin.com, knogin.com, and free version for individuals. If you've got a business and you want to monitor a bunch of people, you pay per user, so much easier. But generally, it's a product that helps you as a person to be able to protect yourself and your family without any cost.
It's critical stuff. So keep up the good work. Again, that's knogin.com where you can access that, and definitely sign up for the course on Cybrary.
It's the Cyber Easy course. I actually took it on Wednesday when I came just to go through. So it's nice that you make it available for pretty much anybody, and then companies as well. And then just an easy download directly from your site and gets you all those analytical tools and everything, which is nice. But while I have both of you here, talking about a security conscious company culture, that is definitely something that being like a lower level employee, kind of comes from the top down. I know it's definitely something like we focus here on at Cybrary, and I know it's something you guys focus at Knogin. How much input are you guys putting in, when you're starting? Kind of, we talked about it earlier, is making sure that, security and security training is something that is continuous and not just, the first thing you do the first day that, you start work and then you never think about it again.
Yeah, or an annual exercise. Yeah, it's definitely, so things change all the time in business. People will find things, and as part of your gamification, I guess, and rewarding of people, you can actually notify people and give them training on that as well. So the person who found the problem could give the course, right? So they won the award, they're the hero. So, let them show everybody how cool they are and how they found this bug, but now it's fixed. So we don't need to worry, but watch for those things in the future. And you too could get $100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of giving, like a reward system for people who, might find things or are doing things correctly the way that, you want them to be done.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. You're familiar. We've talked about on this podcast before what we do here at Cybrary, but I think it's easy when you're in this industry to assume that everybody thinks of the same things. It's just baked into what we do here as a company, right? Security is just baked into kind of everything.
Yeah, it's something that working in tech you kind of almost take for granted after a while. It's just something that you think about. But anytime I'm home and visiting my parents and I'm seeing my dad use any one of his same passwords, and I'm just like, come on, please, can we do this a different way? This is not, and it's hard to make people understand who don't have to do this all the time or don't, utilize all the tools and things that we do kind of take for granted.
Yeah, no, I think that's an important point as well. So, I mean, the hardest people to preach to are our parents.
Yeah.
And trying to get them to understand security awareness. My own parents say, well, I have nothing to hide, but the thing is, if you don't really use your email account, someone can set up an email account purporting to be you, use that to gain access to your bank account online, even if you don't do online banking. Mm-hmm. In fact, especially if you don't do it because you don't have an email address associated, and they can just create that, start doing all this stuff for you instead. So they haven't hacked you. They've just created an account and taken over your life.
Yeah.
Just because you're not protecting it properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's not something I had thought about before.
Well, this was good, man. Appreciate you doing this.
Thank you. Yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
That is another Cybrary episode podcast. So thanks for listening and tuning in, and make sure to check back for another episode with Ken Gilmour.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.